Hi, you're watching a snippet of episode 103 of the How to Life podcast. Today we are talking about job satisfaction. Not too long ago, the way people approached jobs was stoically. They had a job, it provided sustenance, and that's just what they did every day for 40 years, whether they liked it or not. These days, that attitude has changed. People want to feel fulfilled in their jobs. But there's still the mindset of settling for less than what you want or accepting dissatisfaction because of fear or apathy or confusion. You just don't know how to go about doing it. If you're feeling that it might be time for a change, this interview with career coach Jeremy Cline will help you identify the signs and give you guidance to do so. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome to the How to Life podcast, and thank you very much for being here today.
Hello, Laura. It's an absolute delight to be here.
So we are talking about changing careers, how you go about that, why that even happens. What are some of the reasons that people want to change work?
Fundamentally, it comes down to being dissatisfied with what you're doing. And there could be many, many different reasons for that. But at the root of it all is someone looks at what they're doing day in, day out, and starts to question, why am I doing this? Or start to have thoughts like, oh, I think I've got a cold coming on. Oh, well, that's not so bad. It means I get a few days off work. Or I spoke to someone on my podcast who, it was quite dark, but they started talking with each other about, what would happen if we were in a road accident? I mean, not serious enough to cause serious permanent damage, but serious enough that we had to have a few weeks off work. Wouldn't that be a great break? And I think if people are starting to have thoughts like that, then it really is time to figure out whether you're in the right job for you or now it's time to make a change.
What do you look for in a career? What factors are important in finding a career that brings value to your life?
I look broadly at three things. One is what you're good at. One is what you enjoy doing. And the third one is your values. Many people have an idea of what their strengths are, but just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to enjoy doing it. I've got quite a capacity for sort of putting up with things, but that's not to say I particularly enjoy it.
You had mentioned values. Can you define that a little bit more? What would be an example of something that meshes with your values?
So values are the things which we personally find important and which drive us. They are characteristics, I suppose you might say, of things which, if we are acting out of alignment with those values, if we're failing to honor them, then it doesn't feel right. There's friction. You feel, oh, okay, this isn't right. I don't like this. What's going on here? Trying to label values is tricky. Not impossible, but tricky. I thrive having social connection and community. Another big value of mine is freedom. When you're in an office job, you're there from 8:30, 9 a.m. until 5:30, 6, whatever it is. And you've got your defined time where you've got to be doing whatever it is you're being paid to do. And I find that surprisingly frustrating. What I have learned from the work I've done so far is that everyone has different values. They are many and varied. They're absolutely not aspirational. They're not something that you think you should have. Oh, I should be this, or I should be that. They are what you are. Once you know what's important to you and how you work, then you stand a much better chance of finding something which will fit you. And so that's where the whole value piece fits in, along with the strengths and what you enjoy.
Helping people is something that's very important to me. Also, honesty is extremely important to me. I have been in positions where I had to, omit the truth, and that did not work for me at all. So it's experiences like that where you can learn what is important to you, what you feel is moral, and just and meshes with your own personality and your values.
And you've touched on something which is a great way of uncovering your values, and that's looking at times where you've been unhappy or upset or angry.
A lot of people will put up with things because they think they have to, or they don't know that that is not something that is normal or works with them. And that also leads to people staying in dissatisfying jobs or environments for a long period of time. And I want to ask about, why else would someone stay longer than they want to in any situation? Fear? Pressure?
Fear is probably the biggest one. Even when you're not necessarily in a very happy position, there is comfort in familiarity, and fear of the unknown, fear of change is a thing. You kind of think, okay, well, maybe I'm not happy now, but is it a case of better the devil you know? So what happens if I move and it's twice as bad, 10 times as bad? Do I want to take that risk where here it's, not great, but it's manageable? And I guess allied to that, there's fear of failure. What happens if I make a change and it doesn't work out? There's fear of the opinions of others.
How do you find the courage to make this move? What do you think?
It's moving at whatever pace is comfortable for you and allowing yourself the opportunity to explore and to get curious. You don't need on day one to hand in your notice and then immediately start looking for jobs. You've got an opportunity to start the exploration, to start to ask yourself, what if, or how could that be different, or what could things look like? Start with a bit of self-exploration. Where are you at the moment? And then once you know where you are, then you can start to figure out what you need, what's going right with what you're doing at the moment, what needs work. It might be an entirely different change of career. It might mean doing what you're doing, but doing it in a different environment, one that's more aligned with your own personal culture and values. Or it could be internal change. It might be mindset shifts.
You had asked me earlier what my goal was for this interview, and it is to let people know who may be feeling squished in their job or they want to change, that they're not alone, that there are options, and that it's not scary. There are ways to make the transition very smooth. So would you please tell us where we can find you, your website, your podcast, and everything?
So the podcast's called Change Work Life. The website, very simple, it's changeworklife.com. And if you're interested in the exercises, they're at changeworklife.com/happy.
Jeremy, thank you so very much for spending time to talk to us about this.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's been an honor.